Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
And welcome to Primetime Local News. It is CPCA Finals Week, so I figured I'd wear a little bit of denim, but I still fell short, I'm sure, of what the attire is. Jasmine is just going to look classy for us instead. So Jasmine King filling in for Abby as she is off on holiday. And we got a lot of the usual, plus I think a fairly fun summer question of the day.
Yeah, I'm curious to see people's answers about these dessert ones because I think I know what a couple of my favorite ones are, but I'm curious to know the others.
Yeah, because people are pretty all over the place on dessert especially. I don't know how all over the place Eric Bay is, but he was out on location earlier today.
Thanks, guys. Well, Labor Day is fast approaching, and that means school is starting up again, and we'll be taking a look at the fall guide that the city has put out here as we get into that fall weather. We're going to be taking a look at what they do offer here, especially here at the Service Sports Center where we are today. Taking a look at all that as well. Registration has already opened, so we'll be talking about how you can register and get into your favorite fall program, whatever you may choose. So we're going to have all that and more coming on throughout the show, but before that we'll head back into the studio and Abby will take a look at your local news.
Thanks, Eric. It's an exciting day for farmers in Maidstone as they are now the home of a brand new G3 grain elevator, and we headed down to the grand opening to learn more about the facility. The G3 Maidstone Primary Grain Elevator had their grand opening where they hosted people of Maidstone to come view their facility and teach them more about what they do.
It's a grand opening for our new facility here in Maidstone. We're very excited about it. We're very proud of it. And we're looking forward to doing some business with the Maidstone surrounding area as we grow our business together.
They will be handling grain from around the Maidstone area while also helping other farmers.
We handle grain. We buy grain from producers. We help them with their contracting, those sorts of things. And then we turn around, we ship it out by rail and or by truck, creating more space to take in more grain at a later date.
The business will be helping people get the most out of their products while also supporting the G3 chain.
It helps us with our overall G3 chain. We've got several locations like the Maidstone location out in the countryside that are going to feed our west port in Vancouver, as well as our east ports in Quebec and Hamilton.
G3 wants to be able to offer farmers more efficiency and better solutions.
We're hoping that it can provide some solutions for our farm customers in the area. By having a high throughput, high efficient elevator, it's going to save them time and give them a place to deliver their grain.
G3 currently has 12 locations across Western Canada. Maidstone is their newest facility, and they are currently building more around Alberta and Saskatchewan. Each month, a local company is donating $1,000 to charities here in the border city. This month's recipient is the Thorpe Recovery Center, and our Tegan Gieselbrecht has more on the donation.
Today, the Thorpe Recovery Center received a donation of $1,000 from Assure Occupational Testing, a selection that hits the community.
My husband used to work at Thorpe, and we believe it has a really strong impact in this community and helping people get off drug addiction. And we've asked our staff to pick the charities that were most important to them, and this Thorpe was one of the top ones.
The donation means a lot to the center, which helps people with substance addiction.
I think that it's important because we all struggle for the same dollars in many cases. We're nonprofits. We have little funding that comes through, and so, you know, anytime we get any kind of a donation, it certainly allows us to go beyond.
There is quite a lot of drug use and abuse, and so to have an organization or a recovery center that's working towards helping people get off drug use is really important to this community and helping people get back on their feet and in their families.
The donation will be going to the center's programming.
We plan to use the money just to do further programming. So again, often our core programming is what gets addressed with the minimal government dollars that we get. And then it's these extra kinds of donations that allow us just to do a little bit more.
Tegan Gieselbrecht, Primetime Local News.
The CPCA finals kick off this evening, but Tuesday continue an important tradition with the Women of Wagons Denim and Diamond Gala. The entire racing community, along with business owners, came out to support charities for hospitalized children, a cause that especially hits home for one Chuck Wagon family. Josh Ryan has more.
Since the installment of WOW's cause, the women involved have continued to expand their support for Children's Hospital Foundations, raising more than $170,000 for the Jim Pattison's Foundation along with funds for the Stollery Hospital and Ronald McDonald House.
We started donating to Children's Hospital in Saskatoon, and now we've expanded to the Stollery and Ronald McDonald House this year, and we've also donated to Telemiracle. It's exciting to be able to do something like this.
It's an unbelievable partnership. They're an amazing group. They do this for us every year. They're busy. Their schedule is crazy, and they still have time to do this.
It's a cause that anyone can get behind, but there was particular meaning this year for the Labicane family.
My family and I spent some time at the Ronald McDonald House while Ella was in the hospital. She was born with a birth defect called gastroschisis.
Ella spent nearly 2 months in hospital as a result, and the experience has stayed with the Labicanes since.
You just never know what life's going to throw at you. You can't anticipate that you're going to be the one that might have to stay there because of a sick child in the hospital, but that's where we were.
Getting to speak to an audience on behalf of these charities was an honor for their family while celebrating how far Ella has come.
She's a year now and she's happy and healthy, and we're happy.
And being able to unite to put this charity on each year has bonded each of the women of the wagons.
It does make us closer. But we're all close anyway because we raise our families together and they're all kind of one big family.
Josh Ryan, Primetime Local News.
Now we go to our Eric Bay, who was on location today.
Once again, we are back here at the Service Sports Center, and we are talking about the city's fall guide, all the stuff they do have coming up here going into the fall. And Sandra Brown joins me now, and you guys have tons of stuff happening here, including some pickleball. So can you tell us what you have going on there?
Oh, we sure do. We have a pickleball clinic for seniors that's coming up. We have 2 instructors contracted from the city of Edmonton that will be coming down. Pickleball tournament, registrations are already coming in for that. And we have a lot of seniors and adults that just love the sport of pickleball. It's a growing fad in Lloydminster for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I've played a few times. I've said definitely a lot of fun. And you guys also have some more of that traditional sports that people may know, as well as talking the basketball. So can you tell us what you have going on there?
Yes, during the November break when school is out, we have a youth basketball camp for 3 days, followed the 4th day is a tournament. Very well received in the community last fall, and so we hope to have just as many number of registrations this year as well.
And, you know, typical here, you got the 2 rinks, so you guys do have some skating going on too, going into the fall. You know, everybody's getting into hockey and all that, so can you tell us about what you guys have for skating?
Yes, our Little Skaters program for ages 2.5 to 5 years old. It's a very popular program. We have a returning instructor, Hillary, will be teaching again. We have parent and child classes, level 1 to level 3. Some of the classes are actually almost full, so if anyone's interested, I suggest you get your names in very quickly.
All right, thank you for this. We're going to be talking a little more about what else you guys do have going on here, but before we get to that, we're going to head back into the studio.
Conditions are prime for some chuck wagon racing this evening, folks, and they're also prime for many other activities in the Lloydminster area. 23 degrees, largely sunny, a few clouds. Nothing much to worry about, though, for the great outdoors. Not quite the record of 32 degrees back in 1992, but again, we'll take it over the chilly conditions of 2007. Wind, of course, is playing a factor in how it feels outside. I don't know how much it affects your sporting prowess, but it does affect the feeling of temperature by at least 3 or 4 degrees. There is a small thunderstorm warning in terms of the map, though the thunderstorm itself may be more than small. That's only by the Provost area, may creep up into Wainwright. It's unexpected to be anywhere else in the Midwest, and certainly not in the Lakeland area. Next here, if technology does work, our current temperatures, 25 in Edmonton, 23 in Red Deer, as well as out in Jasper in the mountains, 23 in Whitecourt, 24 in Athabasca, and on the Sask side of things, 22 in Prince Albert, Melfort sitting at 21 degrees, and Saskatoon and North Battleford both holding strong at 24 apiece. Now your next 3 days, 23 and 12 expected tomorrow. There was an outside chance of a thunderstorm. Environment Canada and others are laying off of that prediction for now as the wind continues to come out of the west-northwest. Still a 40% chance of precipitation on Friday with a high of 15 and a low of 13. So not much of a drop between the evening and the morning. Then 17 and a low of 5 on Saturday, and we could have rainy conditions on Championship Sunday. That's it for your 3-day forecast. We'll have your 7-day later on in the show.
Every sport has a pioneer that helps pave the way for the future, and for Chuck Wagon Racing, it's Amber LaRue. This season, LaRue became the first ever full-time female driver on the CPCA Tour, and she hopes to inspire other women with every lap. Josh Park reports.
This is what I've wanted to do my whole life, so getting the opportunity to be here and compete at this level has been fairly amazing so far.
Even with 12 years prior experience racing ponies, for Amber LaRue, it was never a doubt where she wanted to go. And her first season racing on the CPCA Tour has been a historic one. The rookie is the first ever female CPCA chuck wagon driver, and the excitement that comes with it hasn't faded away.
It's been overwhelming because I assumed like after North Battleford it would kind of like fizz out and, you know, be like, oh, okay, whatever, right? And it's continued to build and grow throughout the season. Like tonight there was still a huge like crowd presence and everything, so it's been really amazing that way.
Leading up to the season, being the first female driver wasn't even a thought for LaRue. But as the first tour stop approached and planning for the season began, it became a reality. And now LaRue hopes what she's doing can be an inspiration to others.
Not only wagon racing, I just hope young girls are like, wow, if a girl can race wagons, like I can do this or that, or yeah, I hope we're paving the way that way.
LaRue will get her first taste of the championships here in Lloydminster when the races kick off Wednesday down at the exhibition grounds. The focus now, staying consistent and managing the barn.
I'm just hoping to stay clean and consistent and keep things rolling the way they have, keep horses healthy, and just have a good, clean finals. It's my biggest hope right now.
Josh Park, Primetime Local Sports.
Now we go to our Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here at the Service Sports Center, and we are talking about the city's fall guide, all that they do have going on here going into the fall. And Sandra Brown joins me once again. And now we talked in the last segment, you guys have basketball, pickleball, skating, but you also have a kids' night out coming up. So you tell us what you have going on there.
Yes, once a month on a Friday night for 3 hours. Parents are welcome to pre-register their kids. We do games in the field house. It's an actual camp. We do crafts, all kinds of activities. Each one is themed. This year I've squeezed in a fourth camp, so we'll be doing one in September during the National Science Literacy Week called Ocean Oasis, and we've already had registrations coming in for those.
Awesome, and now we did talk, tons of different stuff, 4 different things we did mention. So if people want to know more maybe about those tournaments for pickleball or the basketball camps and all that, how can they get some more info on those?
Well, our program facility guide came out last week. You can check out lloydminster.ca. There's lots of information on our website. You can phone any of the programmers at the City of Lloyd facilities, and they will provide as much information as you need.
And now registration for everything you have going on in your fall guide did open yesterday, and you guys did mention you have a record number of registrants going on so far. So you talk about the response so far that you have had.
Oh, there's been a remarkable response from the community this year for fall registrations. We had over 40 the first day. In fact, we had 15 in the first 30 minutes. So we had quite a few computers going. You can register online as well at lloydminster.ca/guides. You can phone the facility to register, or you can come on down in person.
All right, thank you so much for doing this and sharing a little bit more about what you do have. We're going to have some more coming up, including about how you can register. They do have a registration night coming up, as well as a few other things going on here into September as we make our way back to the school year and into fall. But before that, we'll head back into the studio.
Thank you very much, Eric. Your next 24 hours will see a quick decline in temperature, and unfortunately it's going to stay fairly cool over the next couple of days. Though, of course, those of you who don't like anything above 20 degrees will be quite happy. We do still get back into the 20s tomorrow afternoon by about 1 p.m., but things will quickly cool down by about 7 or 8, and we'll get down into the teens once again. That 48-hour wind chill, of course, playing a factor in how the temperature feels. Not a lot of stringent wind early on Thursday or Friday, but once you get to the evening, you're going to have some gusts in the 20-kilometer range and at least a steady average speed of around 11 to 12 kilometers. Vermilion sitting at 24 degrees right now, 23 in both St. Paul and Vegreville. Edmonton still at 25 degrees. Bonnyville 24, Wainwright 25, a little bit cooler down south in Provost and Macklin. And on the Sask side, Isle Cross and Green Lake are both sitting at 23, Meadow Lake at 24, St. Walburg at 22, and Maidstone at 23 degrees. So pretty solid August midweek day with everyone right around the seasonal average for this time of the year, including North Battleford sitting at 24 degrees. Also fairly sunny conditions that will pave way to fairly clear overnight conditions as well with a low of 12. The wind shifting from straight out of the west to around the west-northwest by tomorrow afternoon should remain just above 10 kilometers per hour, where they're also expecting a high of 25, but an increase rather in cloud cover. Cold Lake is sitting at 25 at the moment, and again fairly sunny conditions. Overnight expecting 12, tomorrow expecting 24. There is an outside chance of a few drops of rain. Fortunately, the wind at least will have calmed down from these 20-kilometer gusts we're getting at the moment to around 9 or 10 kilometers per hour. And in Lloydminster, 23 degrees remains the temperature with a low of 12 expected once again. The wind shifting to the west-northwest and again coming down from around 20 kilometers or more to around 10 or 11 kilometers, though again, some of those gusts could get into the 20-kilometer range at various points, particularly in the afternoon. Now your 7-day forecast, a low of 13 degrees after a high of 15, so not much of a drop in temperature Friday, back to 17 on Saturday. Then there's a drastic drop to a low of 5. And then 19, 18, 17, and 21 mark out the temperatures for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And another cool evening expected on Tuesday with a low of 5. A few days of outside chances of precipitation on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. That's been your 7-day forecast. We'll have more later on in the show.
Now we go to our Eric Bay, who is on location.
Once again, we are back here at the Service Sports Center, taking a look at their fall guide here as fall is just coming up shortly. And Sandra Brown joins me once again. And now we talked, your registration is open, but you do have a registration night coming up. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, on Thursday, September 5th, we have our Community Registration and Information Night. It's open to the public from 4 till 8. Local and actually area groups, clubs, organizations, sports teams will be registered. They'll have tables set up, so the public is just welcome to wander around, pick up pamphlets, registration forms, and it's very convenient because it's all under one roof. So if you want to sign your one child up for Girl Guides or another one involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters, you can register for hockey as well.
All right, that'll be perfect for sure. Now you also have another event coming up in the fall, that is the Fall Garage Sale, so you can give us the details on that one.
Yes, that is one of my favorite events. It's on Saturday, September 7th. We're opened an hour earlier this year to accommodate all the early birds we've had in the past. So the event is open from 9 till 2. We'll be in Mike's Fieldhouse. Last year we had over 60 tables booked, and we're on track to do that as well this fall. And you can just wander around and you never know what treasures you'll find.
No, for sure, best thing about garage sales. And now we've been talking about that fall guide you guys do have coming out. So if people do want to get their hands on that, check it out. Where is it available for people to see it?
Well, each of the City of Lloyd facilities has copies of the guide if you haven't received one as yet. It's also available a digital copy online at lloydminster.ca/guides. And you can look on it there. You can, if you want to register or if you need more information, just call down and we can answer all your questions.
All right, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yes, thank you.
We're going to have some more back from here talking again about the fall guide coming from the city. But before that, we're going to head back into the studio.
In honor of World Creamsicle Day, we decided to make the question about summer frozen dessert. So what is your favorite frozen dessert to enjoy in the sun, but what's the most overrated as well? Bit of an interesting mix of responses. Seema says margaritas. I know that's not exactly a family-friendly frozen dessert, and most overrated for her is ice cream cake, which boggles my mind, but I haven't heard of someone who doesn't like ice cream cake before.
I like ice cream cake. Like I like the fudge that's in the middle. That's like makes it for me. That's definitely the best part. But I think my most overrated is chocolate ice cream. I don't know why, but by itself, I don't really like it. I don't know if it's the taste or it's just too much chocolate maybe.
It could be too much chocolate if you're an anti-chocolate type of person. Some of it, of course, depends, especially with ice cream, what brand you get. Because if you get Chapman's, it's usually pretty consistent. If you get No Name, as I know growing up we always did, chocolate's not the best.
But I would say probably my favorite. I actually like the opposite of that. I say ice cream cake, or I like just a sundae in general is my favorite because there's so much you can do with them, and just whatever flavors you want can be what you get.
And you can also make it a little healthier by adding berries and things like that. Although with chocolate cake specifically, the berries have a different kind of taste. Now we're going to move on from our super unhealthy conversation about ice cream to pets of the day. And we have another bunch of cuties ahead. So Chino, that was submitted by Alicia.
Just staring hardcore at the camera.
Yeah, we're wondering what they're looking at her for. Finnick is really enjoying the long grass.
Yeah, he's got that big smile on his face.
Next up here, Molly, who is enjoying shorter grass.
Aww.
Indeed, very cute. Rose is enjoying, everyone's outdoors this week, it looks like.
Yeah, this is the outdoors day, but her eyes are really cute.
And next up here, Musha to submit things off. So it's nice to see a non-cat once in a
Yeah,
while.
a different animal.
And once again, thanks everyone for submitting. If you want to submit in the future, we need the name of the pet plus the picture to win that free gift card.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Welcome back to Primetime Local News. I'm now joined in studio by Sean Newman, former athlete, but also now a podcast host.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate you thinking of me.
Now, it's not every day that you get to talk to someone who's not necessarily got a background in broadcasting and now hosts their own podcast. So just tell us really briefly about what got you into it.
Yeah, it's just a hobby that became a passion of mine. Enjoyed being on the radio back from my junior days playing hockey. Anytime they offered for me to go on the radio and help them out, I jumped at the chance. And then when I first got back here from playing hockey, I did color commentating for the Bobcats for part of a season and really enjoyed it. But I was saying to you before is I still play senior hockey. I still love being active, and doing something like you guys do takes a lot of time. And I work full time and I play hockey full time, and I got a third kid on the way. And so I stumbled across podcasting last year and thought, man, this is something that a guy can do and make fit his life. And I thought for a place like Lloyd that has such amazing people and talented athletes and cool stories, why not try it here and see if I could make a go of it.
And you've obviously made this a specifically local podcast in terms of who you talk to. It's also kind of transformed what it started out as to what you do now.
Yeah, well, the idea had always been, I call it the 80-10-10 principle. My own principle is I played hockey in Canada and the States and in Europe, and so I wanted to be a lot of athletes. I know a lot of athletes, and that would be majority hockey. They just got a nice pipeline built there. But by no means is that what Lloyd's known for. There's tons of great athletes. And so I wanted to tell lots of those stories, but I graduated with a degree in history. And so I wanted to track down some unique stories about where we came from and the history of Lloyd and surrounding area and so forth. And that's what I was saying to you, a guy like Cy Campbell from Unity came across my plate by people listening and saying you should interview this guy, and he fought in World War II, and he was amazing. And then 10%, I biked across Canada in 2006, and so I just like adventurous people that got cool stories to share. And so that's kind of how I've been trying to go about getting people on. And as I was saying, like now it just seems like hockey has become prevalent in it because the door is open and hockey guys know to come, but I'm always looking for cool and unique stories from around Lloyd and surrounding communities.
And so when you do the podcast, is your goal to kind of just have a fun back and forth, or just really kind of learn more about each particular person and their story?
Yeah, I really want to know their story. It started out with knowing some people from around the Hillmont community. I'm originally from Hillmont, and hearing their story third hand or fourth hand and from dressing room talk, oh, they did this, but never actually from them. And so I thought I really wanted to hear their story from them. So I really try and go back to their beginning and how they got to where they are, and try and fill in the middle blanks. And if they got some cool stories along the way, let them tell their story and keep it lighthearted, I guess, and that kind of conversation around a coffee table, so to speak.
And we'll have more on that lighthearted conversation. Just one more, if people want to go check out the podcast, how do they go do that?
Yeah, so you can find it on any of the podcasting platforms. So Apple, Spotify, Google. You just search Sean Newman Podcast off your phone, and it's right there. Boom. It's super, super easy.
Okay. And we'll have more from him here in the Primetime Local News Studio.
Hey, it's Justin Marshall from Cool 101.3 in Bonnyville and Boom 95.3 in Cold Lake. And here's what's happening around the Lakeland. Well, starting tomorrow, as you can see, it's Mudfest, the 5th annual event here, the Bonnyville Rodeo Grounds. It's been going on for 5 years. Billy Joe joins me now. We just did the Mud Run, which is Friday at 2.
We did. Come on down, join the Mud Run. It's quite warm, actually, and refreshing. It's like a really cheap mud bath. It's all for a great cause. It goes to the local Friendship Center so that we can fill up that food bank this Christmas. 2 p.m., $25 canned food donation. Come on down.
And what are some of the other amazing events going on here at Mudfest? You can get all the details, 1013coolfm.com, the full list.
Justin, as you know us, we like to continuously add. So we have motocross, rock crawlers, quad racing, tough trucks, top trucks, mud drags. We've also got a 40-team baseball tournament, which is 100% sold out. We've got an after-hours nightclub, Default, and Tim Hicks playing, plus 5 other bands, and Dallas Smith is going to get in a rock crawler.
Billy, it sounds like a lot of fun. Get your tickets now, extrememudfest.com. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, and we will see you guys starting tomorrow. Gates open, 10 a.m. We'll see you at the Bonnyville Rodeo Grounds.
And if you have an event you would like to feature on What's Happening, shoot me an email, jmarshall@stingray.com.
Back with Sean Newman in studio to talk about his podcast, the Sean Newman Podcast. As you said, you mostly talk to hockey athletes, but you've also talked to a number of other athletes locally that are into other sports. One mutual friend we have, Chelsea Steinley, who for some people who follow the program would know she competed for Lakeland College as a mom in her 30s. That's obviously a unique story. You've gotten people like her on. Do you have any particular favorites at this point?
Well, now you put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, it's a non-athlete. I mentioned Cy Campbell in the first part. He's a guy who fought, he's 94 years old. He fought in World War II, as a rear gunner on a Lancaster bomber. And to just hear his story about from the 30s through the dirty 30s into World War II, going over to Europe and flying missions over enemy territory, and just kind of what the world was like back then is amazing. As for athletes in general, all their stories are quite spectacular. For me, growing up, I always looked up to the Border Kings, the senior hockey team that used to be in town, and so Mervyn Morgman, having them in, they kind of were my idols growing up, and to sit and listen and get to sit in a room for a couple hours with them guys was really special, I guess. So those two and Cy on the other side are some that I speak very highly of.
Now, obviously, Cy could tell you a good many different stories. How hard do you have to work to cap the conversation at one point? Because that's obviously part of podcasting, is editing it down to make sure you don't overdo it.
I'm glad you asked that. So I fell in love with podcasting through Joe Rogan, and he is kind of the opposite of that.
Yeah.
He doesn't edit a whole lot. Actually, it's unedited, it's uncut. Can go for, don't get me wrong, he doesn't go for 7 hours, but it isn't a 20-minute segment. It's not, he doesn't clip it down so you get the best parts. And so I've really taken that approach. I've really taken the approach of I don't want to lead you to the best part. I want you to listen and find out how we get there. And I really enjoy that you're not missing parts of the conversation. You get to hear the entire thing.
So rather than you listen to this during your 30-minute lunch break, listen to this while you're doing all of your household chores kind of thing.
Yeah, well, the lovely thing about a podcast is it's so accessible. It's free. It's right on your phone. Everybody's got a phone now. And so you can be driving to work, which a lot of us in this area drive quite a ways. So you pop it on instead of the radio or Sirius XM, that kind of thing. I do it walking the dogs every morning, or even just like you say, you put it on your Bluetooth and you do it while you wash the dishes or clean the house. There's many different ways to go about it.
And you've talked a little bit about some of the cool guests you've had. Corey Cross is another one that's come up. Do you have any particular ones that you're very eager to get to?
Well, of course, Braden Holtby's sitting in town. I'd love to have a Stanley Cup champ from the area on. Wade Redden's a guy I'm waiting. You know, he lives in Kelowna, so the next time he's back, we're going to make it work, but that's scheduling. Those two right away come to mind because they're hockey guys. Cal Nichols is a guy from the area that I'd love to have on. Cal Nichols helped save the Oilers back in the day. He's a St. Walburg guy, and he was in behind the scenes of the Edmonton Oilers back in the late 90s. And the list just goes on. Like, there's many stories like that. Those are just three that popped in my head.
Okay. Now, are there any particular ones that you have scheduled coming up in the next month or two that you think people will be interested in?
Yeah, so I don't know how much I want to give away here. I'm supposed to be having Reed Wilkins on from 6:30 CHED. Wade Redden is a guy who's supposed to be coming on. Robert Oswald, who owns Roswell, is supposed to come on. There's some guys coming down the pipeline like that. Ross Thompson, who doesn't fit the hockey at all, but Ross Thompson just finished, I think it's his 13th Ironman from Lloyd here. So he's coming on in September. JP Kelly's another guy, former NHLer, coming on. So there's plenty coming up that's going to be a lot of fun.
And that sounds like exciting stuff. Again, you can check that out, Sean Newman Podcast, all the places you can download it. Thanks for coming in, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Enjoy the rest on Primetime Local News.